All right, it's the evening time now. The sun is starting to get lower in the sky, and it's finally cool off enough for me to come out of the AC and enjoy a nice little walk through in our garden here today. So first we're going to show you we have a little orchard back here. We have a pair of apple trees. These are Gala apples. And then we have a pair of fig trees. Now up here in Zone 5, these figs really become more of very large bushes than trees. These are Chicago Hardies. They're perfect for this zone. And they start off from basically little tiny stumps. And then when the warm weather comes, they absolutely explode, because these are really more of a tropical type plant. But these grow very well here in Zone 5. And then the last two trees we have here, these are cherry trees. And we got our first blooms this spring. These trees are just going to start fruiting here next year. We'll hopefully have a full bloom. Look forward to the cherry blossom pictures in the spring. We water almost our entire year using rainwater that we collect off of our garage. There are 5 55-gallon drums, so that's 275 gallons of water available. And they refill and get used quite a bit. This is a system that I set up off of our gutters here. We have downspouts for or drop tubes there for catching heavy debris and whatnot. There's a filter screen on top where it goes into the barrels. And of course we've got clean outs on both ends. Another hard item trap right there. You just pop off the cap at the bottom and out comes all the crap. And then we have our melon patch right here. We got watermelon growing in it this year. Last year we did cantaloupe. And we're still experimenting with melons. We haven't done a whole lot with them ever, but we're trying. And then our first row of plants here, we have a kind of a bit of a variety here, as it was originally seeded for beans, and the squirrels really wrecked the sprouts this year. So I let the buckets sit fallow until my tomatoes were ready. And I went ahead and I planted tomatoes up here. Now I'm going to be doing a draped chain for these tomatoes as they reach the top of their poles. They'll basically be moved down from one bucket to the next and hang on the next bucket's pole. And eventually they'll all drape down, and the one here at the end will go the other way. So it's interesting when it's all said and done, but essentially as you drape them across each bucket, you can get them to touch dirt and they'll set in roots for you, and it just continues to propagate. I have a whole bunch of suckers here that I have to prune off, and I'll show you some of these. Some of my tomatoes are doing really, really well, and they're really kicking butt ahead of everything else. So like this guy right here and this guy right here, these two have been going absolutely gangbusters, and you can see they've got some really healthy suckers on here. So these are producing some really heavy solid suckers already, and what we'll do is we'll just cut it off here at the bottom, and I'll literally put it in soil, directly in soil, and all these little white hairs are going to turn into roots, and I'll grow another tomato plant. Same goes for over here. We got a big one there, another one coming up there. So you can either pluck these suckers off and just toss them in your compost, or you can plant them, and I mean literally just directly plant them in soil, and they will start to grow. Just keep them well watered. And since my neighbor's plants didn't do so well and her dog kept messing up her garden, I'll plant a few extra for her, and we'll grow her some more tomatoes. Now I have a variety of beans growing right now. We have Blue Lake, we have Garden King, we have Tenderette. There's another variety, and I can't remember what the name of it is right now, but we have 4 different varieties of green beans growing. Some are stringed, some are stringless, and you never know until you bite into them, really. But the tenderettes are really, really nice. And they're all coming along nicely. I've probably got another pound or 2 of beans to pick off of them this evening, as they are really going gangbusters. And then on the next row over here, we have our bell peppers. And they're all just really getting started, because bell peppers are definitely more of a tropical plant. So they've been really waiting for the hot weather to come. That one was under a cup for a little too long, so it didn't get any wind, and now it's kind of laying over on its side. But it'll perk up eventually. And I did transplant a bunch of my devil plants, where I had 2 that came up in a bucket, and they're all now in their own buckets, so they're all going to start going gangbusters. And in a little bit here, I'm going to do you guys a marigold montage where I'll go around all the different marigolds, or I'll jump skip, pause it and whatnot, so you guys can see all the different marigolds we're growing. And we grow a huge variety of marigolds. I'll get in closer on those flowers so you can see them. We do have sunflowers that grow up every now and then because of the squirrels. They plant a whole bunch of sunflower seeds, and next thing you know, we have sunflowers growing in the buckets. And we have a variety of cucumbers growing. I always grow 3 or 4 different varieties of cucumber every year. We have Muncher, we have Pick-a-Bushel, we have white, and I have the lemon baseball, which I believe is that guy right down here. So we grow a variety of cucumber every year. And you'll notice there's also some other companion plants in there. Those are sugar beets. I grow those for my neighbor. She makes borscht. And over here, more of our transplants. All of these tomatoes are transplanted from our double planted buckets. And you see we got marigolds spotted in here. We got some onion growing over here next to this guy. Some more sunflowers. As you can see, these squirrels literally just pile in a whole mouthful of seeds down there, and then they sprout in the spring. And we will literally let them grow, and they're about to start blooming here, as you can see. And we will let them grow, and then at the end of the year we'll harvest the heads and we'll grow some more. And from the ones the squirrels gave us last year, I'm actually growing those right there. Those are from a squirrel, and we harvested the flowers. And you got to watch out, because the squirrels will get the flowers before they're done. And if they do, you don't get any seeds. We also have okra. This is spineless king okra. And we've got summer squash. And the summer squash is really starting to take off now. I got 3 summer squash coming up this year. And then a bunch of okra in between there. Another one of my random peppers that's just off to the side there, filling in a bucket. We got another lamb's ear growing. We gave it its own bucket. That was a transplant. We'll see how they do. I'm interested to see how they do in a bucket. So you can see we've got 3 more buckets of sunflowers here. And then this is 4 Seasons lettuce. And I planted a few buckets of this last year. And we let it go all the way to seed on several of them. And these 2 plants literally just grew just on the ground here from the random blowing of seeds off the other plants from last year. So we transplanted them back into buckets, and they are doing tremendous. This is a wonderful leaf lettuce, perfect for sandwiches and salads. If you haven't tried it before, I highly recommend. It's called 4 Seasons. And then here's a good example of what I do on the trellis out here. You can come down here, we just tie it around the bottom of the plant and just start wrapping it around. And I got another sucker there I need to clip off. And as it gets taller and taller, you literally just keep wrapping it around. Now if you're wondering, well, what's attached up at the top there, let me pull one of these down here. So this was an idea that I got from Epic Gardening, and I don't know what he used to make his, but I made mine out of 10 gauge galvanized wire. It doesn't rust, it lasts through the seasons, it's easy to bend, and I made myself a little jig so I can just boop, 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 and I make a whole bunch of these really quick. And we just hang them off the trellis, just like that. And as you need more and more string and whatnot, you just unspool it. And essentially, I'll start from down there, and they'll all work their way across the trellis. As they get taller and taller, we'll wrap them up and hang them down, and we'll move them along the trellis here until we get to the end, and then we hook them to the back side of it, and then we start walking them down the back side. And for the ones that are on this end, they'll go down, and then they'll work their way around. And let's see, last year my longest vine was just over 16 feet, and the average vine was about 10. And we produced, I think we produced somewhere right around 50 or 60 pounds of tomatoes. We produced a lot of tomatoes last year, both from the Lemon Boy, which is a golf ball size yellow tomato, really very wonderful flavor, to cherry tomatoes and beefsteaks. We also have our strawberry troughs, and this is a work in progress. This is going to be filled in over the course of several years, really. As the strawberries send out their runners, we plant them in it. This is a 5-inch gutter, and the strawberries are quite happy with it, but you have to keep it moist. And with the hot sun in the summer here, that can be kind of hard to do. So you have to water it sometimes in the morning and in the evenings. But until the strawberries have filled in all the way, and as you can see, we've got quite a bit going on there, and we're working our way out from the middle. We also grow lettuces in here in the meantime. So we've got a whole bunch of different lettuces. This is Butter Crunch right here. And we had an old strip of red velvet from last year, and it didn't go. It didn't grow. So we'll plant something else there. But this is all Butter Crunch, and it's doing quite well. And then on the other side there, we have Iceberg. We're taking a stab at growing some iceberg lettuce, and you can see we have plants in various stages of growth, from one that's about to start making a head to others that are still in the leaf stage, and then others still that are just barely sprouted. And the ones that are barely sprouted, they'll eventually fill in, and over time we'll have a head of lettuce that we can harvest pretty regularly throughout the summer and into the fall. Most of these strawberries that you're seeing here are, this is their second year. The really little ones, these came off of these guys, so this is their first year. And we'll start getting fruit off of these gutter trellis here, gutters, trellis, whatever you want to call it. These should start having fruits draping down for us next year. Most of these ones here in the middle, and they fruit for 5 to 7 years. This is my mother plant. This is the one who started it all. It started with 2 plants in there, and now it is pretty well overgrown, and this fall I'm going to start taking all the extra plants out, and they'll be getting transplanted into the gutters to fill in other spaces. And since those are all basically 2-year-old and older plants, they'll start fruiting very heavily next year once they have more space. We also have a couple of different blueberries. We have Elliott and Northland. These one here on the left, this is Elliott, and those are Northland. And we actually got quite a few blueberries off of the Northland this year, and there are still some left to harvest. You can see right over there, that one is definitely just about ready, and it's got a couple others that are still waiting to turn. And then on the Elliott, it gave us one nice little bunch of blueberries this year, and I think a lot of it is due probably to our soil conditions in there. We're a bit too close to neutral, and blueberries like a more acidic soil, so we have to amend their soil here and treat it with some like iron sulfate or some other pH reducing mineral. And we grow corn. We have 2 different varieties of sweet corn going on this year. These varieties allow you to grow them really close to each other, 3 to 4 inches apart, and that allows you to really pack in a lot of stalks. So we've got them really going this year, and as the rule goes, it's knee-high by the 4th of July, and our corn is definitely more than knee-high. So we're doing just fine here in Northwest Ohio, and as you can see down here at the bottom, we have sweet peas growing, and these will work their way up the corn stalks, and we will have peas to harvest here pretty darn soon. It doesn't take long for them to go, and once they do, you can see down here is a great example of a pea getting itself worked up on the corn there. And we will have a whole bunch of peas coming up here very soon. Got them planted all throughout here, and they love to grow right up the stalks. The other thing you can grow with them is beans. Beans are another good one to grow, and what's the other thing? I think you could do squash as well. Different types of varieties of squash. So I'm going to do a quick marigold montage, and then we'll move on to the next section here. This plant's already close to 2 feet tall, and marigolds are generally only 1-footers, but this one's nearly 2 feet tall already. This little guy's just starting to go into bloom. He's got a lamb's ear growing next to him. This bucket's got a couple of different varieties. There's a red and yellow. I can't remember what that variety is, but it's different from that variety. And of course, some of the random ones that happen to grow up wherever we find them throughout the garden, we'll transplant them into their own little buckets and let them grow. One of the last ones, this one's really pretty. Got a wonderful head on it. More to come. And this is one of the leopards. This was a beautiful variety. And of course, along our compost pit, we grow a whole bunch of marigolds. We got some yellow ones, some orange and yellows. Beautiful variety here. And these are all literally growing in cinder blocks. Each cinder block acts like its own little pot. There's a really pretty yellow and red one. And they just grow as they do. We got a watermelon growing back there. For whatever reason, they just end up randomly growing in our compost pit. And when they do, we just let them grow. All right, now over here, this is our greenhouse. And we grow a variety of different things in here each year. These I typically use for carrots. These are my carrot beds. And I had half the bed was a Nantes half-long seeds that I had left over from last year, and basically none of those came up. So no big deal, I'm just going to replant with some others. And then over here we had Danver 126, and these are doing just lovely. Quite well. So another month and a half or so, maybe 2 months, we should have carrots ready to go. And then this bed I left fallow. Not a whole lot going on in here, just grass and weeds. We've got peppers and whatnot that we're going to plant, and we've got broccoli that we're going to plant. So these beds that are empty right now, their plants are coming. As you can see, these are our baby broccolis, just starting to grow. And broccoli takes forever to get going, but once it does, once it really gets going, boy oh boy, it is almost unstoppable. And then we have some more bell peppers that I've got here. We have a variety of different kind of bell peppers, from kaleidoscopic and red, orange, yellow, green. And then we got Hungarian yellows. I managed to get a couple plants, I believe. There's one. Now it looks like we got one that came up. Might have to plant some more seeds and hope for the best. But the ones I'm really excited about are these guys right here. These are giant jalapeno. Jalapeno giganticus. And these produce jalapenos that are up to 5 inches long. My biggest last year was just under 5 inches. And I'm really looking forward to that. I got a whole bunch of these coming up here. Whole bunch. Got some grass in there we gotta get out. So, but yeah, we got hot peppers coming. We'll probably plant the broccoli over here in that bed over there. I don't know what I've got going on there. I got an extra tomato plant that's just kind of hanging out. I'll probably put it in a bucket or something at some point here. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe give it to my neighbor. She needs more. All right, so I'm gonna hop across the yard here and we'll show you the berry patch. So alongside our berry patch, we also grow potatoes. Now it's super easy to grow potatoes in totes and tubs. And at the end of the year, once the plants are done, you just dump it onto a tarp and harvest your potatoes out. Put the dirt back in the tub and plant again for next year. And then this is my raspberry patch. Try to keep you guys out of the sun until I can get to the other side there. This was a pair of Black Munger raspberries. And you can see, once again, they're just in tubs because I don't want them getting everywhere. Control my plants. And these are just a couple years old, and they are producing an absolutely gangbuster amount of berries. I'm going to zoom in here for you guys. I'll do a little, flyby on the berry patch here. You can see all the berries. I harvested like 1.5 pounds yesterday. Just tons and tons of berries. So these are Black Munger. And then native here in Northwest Ohio, we do have a red raspberry that grows wild here. And this is our red raspberry. These can be found all over Northwest Ohio. Some more of the Black Munger. I got another tub here that I'm eventually going to fill in with dirt, and we're going to start propagating more of the Black Munger, because we are actually going to build a center berry crown in the middle of the yard that you can walk around. It'll be probably about 8 feet in diameter. We got more strawberries over here. I got a branch that just decided it didn't want to hang out with the others anymore. There we go. Get that back up there. So yeah, you got to be careful with raspberry, man. All they want to do is get to the ground. Oh, look at these. Look at these berries. They're gorgeous. Those are so ripe and ready. I'm gonna harvest these tonight. So, and we got more strawberries that we got growing here. They're starting to go to fruit, so we should have some strawberries on there here in a little bit. I don't know how long that's going to take, but they take how long they take, you know. So that's our raspberry patch, and eventually this is actually going to be over by the fruit orchard in the middle as a crown that you can walk around, and we'll be able to harvest berries. Probably, I would estimate somewhere probably about 10 to 15 pounds next year with what we plan on doing. Because first year raspberry, they produce fruit on their very first year. As soon as they're tall enough to get up there, they make fruit. So we are going to grow a whole bunch more. We're also planning on doing a strawberry mound. Actually, right here where I'm standing, we're going to do a strawberry mound. So, I'll show you guys, we got a fire pit. This thing is actually air boosted. We have a grate in the middle, and then there's a pipe that comes off of it, and that little pipe comes all the way over here, and we put a shop vac on it with the blowout side on it, and we will forced induction for our fire pit. It's pretty neat. Really gets it going when you're trying to get the fire started. So that was a little trick I did. So that's our garden, guys. Hope you enjoy the update. Oh, did I forget to say we have an herb garden too, with basil and oregano and rosemary and all kinds of herbs growing in it, just kind of hodgepodge together as they will. Looks like the basil and oregano are doing the best so far. And we have a rhubarb plant. Now, we cut this thing down a couple weeks ago down to practically nothing, and in just the course of a couple weeks, maybe about a month now, it's already back to this. So rhubarb, fun looking plant, nice little garden piece, delicious for making pies. So you can see the green beans are going absolutely gangbuster. Look at all these beans. So just beans everywhere out here. Wow, let's see. Just beans everywhere. So, alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the tour. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Talk to me about your gardens. Tell me what you guys are growing. Maybe we could trade tips and tricks. If you got some questions about how to do certain things, I might be able to help you out with that. I've learned a lot over the years, and my thumbs are getting greener every year. So thank you all so much. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. We'll talk to you later. Until next time, take care.